So today we're going to quickly go through on how to make your portfolio site. So we're going to go to sites.google.com. And if you made a site before, it will pop up here. I have some that have been shared with me, etc. Please make sure that you're using your Carmel email. I'm not forwarding anything. So I'm using my Carmel email. And at this point, we're going to go over here and hit create. You want to create in classic sites. New sites will be too cumbersome. You won't be able to make it do what you want. So you hit create classic site. They give you two Carmel templates to use here. You can browse for more in the gallery. You just might have more things you need to delete. You are going to name your site, your first name, your last name, '(S), portfolio. And you can see down here that it gives you a whole big list of what your URL is going to be. I'm just going to make mine Eat Major Portfolio. That does not change the name of my site. And at this point, we can now hit create. There's more options at the bottom. We don't really need to deal with that right now. Create. So here is my site. It is going to load. It will take a moment. As we get to our site, because it is loading, and I may or may not have some good Wi-Fi. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have great Wi-Fi. Our job is going to be to make a portfolio that would be useful for you to hand a college recruiter for a scholarship application. So this is meant to not just be for engineering. So we will get into more of that later. But since we want this to be useful for you, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that it is visible for anybody that you give this link to. So my Wi-Fi is still a little iffy. So we are going to, I'm going to refresh because that might make it go a little bit faster, maybe. There we go. So as we are getting this to load, the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to hit the share button. And once we hit the share button, we are going to change the permissions of this. So hit change. And again, we want this to be useful. We don't want this not to be visible. So you have two options at either of the top two. You could make it public on the web, people can find it, or just anyone that you give the link to. And that's what I'm going to pick. So I clicked anyone with the link and you hit save. Once you hit save, we can see our link again and we can go back to our page by hitting our portfolio. So if we take a look at this, there is a bunch of stuff that was on the template that we really don't care about, like handouts. You're not going to have handouts. So we can delete that page by going up to that gear and hitting delete page. Do you want to delete it? You say, yes, please. I would like to delete it. So we have that going on. So now that page is deleted. Now you can see maybe up here we don't have what we want to see. You would go to edit site layout, and that's the horizontal navigation bar. You can go through and you can delete anything from the top that you don't want to be there, which in this case is pretty much everything. You also can choose to have a sidebar, which also has a bunch of things, and we'll deal with that in a second. So we're going to close this for right now. Notice that is all still there because I didn't hit save. Now we hit close. So while we are doing this, let's create a new page. We are going to create Intro to Engineering. And we want that to be at the top level, meaning one of the main things on our page. We could choose different things here, but we're going to keep this as a web page. So again, we hit create. So now we have a page. We're not ready to add anything to it yet. We're just adding some structure. From our Intro to Engineering page, if you remember from the My PLTW site, there are 10 units. So we're going to create 10 units. Unit 1. We don't want that under the top level. We want that under Intro to Engineering because it's not English Unit 1, it's Intro to Engineering 1. So we are going to put that there and hit create. We aren't ready to put anything in there. And we're going to try to do units 1 through 10. So go to create page, unit 2. Again, it's going to be a web page. We don't want it at the top level, but we don't want it under unit 1 either. So we're going to click choose a different location. I want it under Intro to Engineering. Create. And you would keep doing that for units 1 through 10. Once you have units 1 through 10, I want to take a look here at this site layout thing again because it's not looking right, is it? So let's look at the top. We don't want any of these things, but we do want add a page. So let's see what we got going on here. And all these other pages, please feel free to delete. So we want Intro to Engineering up there. And you have a choice up at the top. Do you want boxes, tabs, links? I'm going to pick tabs. You could pick whatever you want. It's your page. So now, look, we have an Intro to Engineering tab. And if you were to click on, oh, well, I'll show you what happens when we click on that later. If you have chosen a sidebar, let's talk about our sidebar. I want 3 levels to show. But I don't want it to organize my navigation because it has all the other sites that I don't want on there. So I'm just going to add Intro to Engineering. Click. Hey, look, there's Intro to Engineering. Add page. We've done more than that, right? We did Unit 1. And to be honest, if you've deleted all the other stuff, you could definitely do the automatically do it. We want Intro to Engineering to be under, or we want Unit 1 to be under Intro to Engineering. So I press this little arrow and it moves over. It's wonderful like that. Same thing for Intro to Engineering Unit 2. Let's see, did it put it at the right spot? It did. Awesome. Okay. So now we have on our sidebar just what we want to see. And we hit close. And we're going to go to Unit 1. You've already done Units 1 through 10, but here under Unit 1, we're going to create a new page. We have already done our first activity. We did Instant Challenge 1.1. And we want to make sure that that's under Unit 1 because that's when we did it. So we are going to click Create. And here is Instant Challenge 1.1. Now there are certain things that we want to have whenever we put an entry in our notebook. First thing we want to make sure is we have a date. So we did this, depending on what class you're in, on the 16th. The other things you need to have, your team members, your objective, so that's something we could talk about as a class together. Materials and procedure, you can copy and paste that from mypltw.org. The brainstorming you did, you can either retype it or you can take a picture of the notes and put it right in there. You would do that by insert image and it would show up in there. Same thing for the documentation, the videos and the pictures that show your process. Again, we could add image, we could add video. You might need to upload it to YouTube. That will be a whole different thing. And for every entry we do, we have RWL. What went right, what went wrong, and what did I learn? What do I learn? What did I learn? Because things are going to go wrong, and we need to learn from them. Once we're done with that, we hit save. It publishes. Now, if it doesn't show up here automatically, where do we go? We go up to Edit Site Layout, and I'm going to mess with the sidebar again. Edit Site Layout, Add Page, Intro to Engineering, Unit 1, Instant Challenge. Okay. And if you want to be able to do this automatically, you can go to Manage Site, and there's a lot of options under Manage Site. But one of the things is all the pages. All the pages. And if you click on a page, like the calendar, you can go through and you can delete the page. And it'll take a minute, but then that won't be an option for you to have on your sidebar anymore. If you have any questions, this has just been a brief getting started. If you have any questions, ask your teacher.